Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. We're doing 64D. So, we've met our defendant for like a second. And our defendant this time is none other than Wocky Kataki. He really says he did it, but you know what? That's fine. Not the first time that happened. Huh. Mr. Rest not here today? He said his old foot injury is acting up. Old injury? He was all smiles yesterday. Yeah, he smiled when he said we'd be fine as long as you're there, Trucy. Yeah. Fine. We'll be fine. Here comes Justice. I started my voice training at 5 this morning. Ooh, do some now. I want to see, hear. Huh? Oh, okay. My name is Apollo Justice and I'm fine! That sounds more like a self-mantra than voice training. Fine, I'm fine, you know what I'm saying? Good morning. Yo, sup? Hit me with a guilty verdict, G. See if I care. You just hang loose and let things go with the flow, you know what I'm saying? Not really. Wacky, don't be running your mouth like that in here. See, there's the difference between you and me, old man. I ain't afraid of no cops. Real G's can keep it real till they spend some hot time in the pen. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Sounds like they've both been voice training too, Apollo. My worst fears realized. The trial's starting and I still haven't had a real talk with my client. Well, in we go. Justice. Time for justice. Oh, it's him. Court is now in session for the trial of Wocky and Kataki. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready to rock and roll, Herr Judge. It's him! The guy from yesterday. He's a prosecutor? Mr. Gavin's brother. Long time no see, Prosecutor Gavin. Where were you taking leave of absence? You know the little band I started in my free time, yeah? Thing is, we got real popular. Hard to say 9 to your fans when 3 of your singles get platinum, ja? I see. To be honest, I was a little concerned. I fear that you might still be distraught over that one trial. Not to worry, Herr Judge. I wouldn't miss this day in court for the world. It is worth even more than one of my VIP passes to one of my courts, ja? The concerts, ja? How could I pass up a chance to see the true strength of the little boy who bested my brother? It was worth canceling a show or two. Understood. You may give your opening statements to the court. Before that, I was thinking, is the air in this courtroom not a bit serious? It is a court of law. That's no way to get the crowd jumping, Judge. They're not supposed to jump. This is a courtroom. A-chung, baby. Today we play it my way. What's that noise? Guitars? Sometimes you have to get on up in order to get down to prosecuting. This is crazy. The victim, Pal Maractus, director of the Maractus Clinic. The scene? People Park. He was found pulling a noodle stand. What in the world is the doctor doing pulling a noodle stand? Yes, I believe. You will only find that out by asking our defendant, right here, right now. Because it's an undeniable truth that he shot the victim. What do you mean, undeniable? If you are to glare at anyone, Herr Justice, glare at the punk in the defendant's chair. His crime was witnessed. Quite clearly, you see. Very well. Please admit this witness to the court. Nine, not yet. First, there is a little matter to be cleaned up. Could you talk without the accompaniment? I swear I could see the guitar for a second. What is it, Prosecutor Gavin? The motive, Herr Judge. Why did the little punk do it? Why did he kill the director of the Maractus Clinic? Not so fast! The defendant doesn't have to explain that! Oh, but what if the defendant specifically requests to do so? As he did this morning. I want to give a shout out to all my homies, I believe he said. What?! What?! What is right? They always say that on stage. You should hit the crowd with speed and ferocity. Sounds like you got you good, huh, Polly? Well, this is highly unusual, but the court will now hear from the defendant concerning his motive for the crime. So, you son of the defendant, Wocky, are you? You ain't your son, old man! I step with a kataki you can prepare to step strong! You step to a public official, you'd best be prepared to step into jail. You gotta hand it to him, Wocky sure has guts. It's not his guts I'm worried about. Well then, the court will now hear testimony of the defendant's motive. From the defendant himself. Please don't say something weird, please don't say something weird, please don't say something weird. I'll tell you one thing, the doctor was a quacker. Someone ought to show him what's what. I was in his clinic about half a year ago. Messed up my op something bad. And then he just let me go without a word. See you later, bye. So I gotta get in. I got another doctor pass me up. That's the day I figured out. No OG's gonna let that pass. That's why I went to his pad that night. Know what I'm saying? You're saying you were one of the victim's patients? A lot of stuff goes down when you're keeping it real on the street. True that. Tell you one thing, the doc is whack! Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination. I can't believe this is the first time I'm hearing about all of this. What does he even want me to do? I'll tell you one thing, the doc was a quacker. Hold on, buddy. First of all, the word you're looking for is quack. And isn't that a little harsh? He's your family doctor. Who asked you, point of locks? Just who do you think you are? You're a lawyer? Look, I ain't trying to hear that. He's a quack and play it simple. Someone who had to show him what's what. By someone, you mean... Was there anyone with a score to settle with this doctor? Besides you, I mean? You better ask somebody else, Holmes. What do I care? I made up my mind to do what I had to be done, straight gangster style. But, why are you so mad at this doctor? Yo, sit back and listen while I drop it, J-Man. J-Man? I was in his clinic about half a year ago. Messed up my op something bad. So you were a patient of the Maractus Clinic half a year ago? For what reason? What you might call a mark of honor. Can you explain precisely what was wrong? We had a little run-in with the Rivales family. That's when I pulled a jack move. I ran into an ambush. She busted a cap right in me. According to my sources, you couldn't stand the stress of waiting and ran in 15 minutes before the appointed time by yourself. Hey, I was more than a match for those guys. So you were carried to the Maractus Clinic from there. Apparently, he was shot in the heart. Shot in the heart and he's still alive? I can catch bullets between my teeth, but I never learned how to catch it with my heart. Please don't do that. The bullet stopped just short of my thumper, you know what I'm saying? Would have been golden if it wasn't for that whack doc. Couldn't even take out a stupid bullet. So as you say, the surgery was a failure. That ain't all of it, Holmes. And then he just up to let me go without a word. See you later, bye. Hold on. What do you mean he just let you go without a word? What do you think it means? It's whack, that's what. I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds bad. It sounds as though Herr Doctor wishes to hide his mistake. This is why he let the defendant go. He's a liar straight up, the badder G than me. So I gotta go in and get another doctor to pass me up again. So this bullet is still... You know it, I can still feel it. Right there in my chest, pressing up against my heart. Your words are like a bullet shot straight into my heart. or something like that effect. Incidentally, that's one of our hit singles. That sounds like a straightforward case of malpractice. You were a J-man? Ain't no accident, that's for shizzle. It seems that there were issues with this doctor. Man, putting him down was like doing the world a favor. Wocky, please consult your lawyer before saying things like that. Chin up, Apollo. Back straight. But why did this mistake only come of light that day? It was found during the family health checkup. The family health checkup? It was the wackiest thing of all. All those G's lining up, taking eye exams and all that. Better to die young than fade away, boy. A relief to hear. What's a relief? Oh, did your father not tell you? That bullet you carry so close to your heart, if not attended to immediately, it could kill you. What? Yes, sir, Dr. Maractus had knowledge concerning his ticking time bomb in you. Knowledge that could have saved your life. No way, that's whacked! There's proof. Your checkup report. How ironic that you would kill the one man capable of helping you. You're almost as careless as he was. Well, now that the place is hopping, let's get this gig started. Started? We've had enough of a warm-up act, yeah? Time to hear from the witness. Wocky sure is quiet all of a sudden. I'm a little uneasy myself. Let me go check that real quick. Wocky Kataki, age 19. Metallic object found near heart. Urgent exam needed. And that's just from the checkup. Gotcha. Is this Gavin's strategy? Who the heck are you? So, you will tell us your name and occupation? My name is Wesley Stickler. By occupation, I take it you refer to some labor profit society at large supports a livelihood under which the physician must confess to being unemployed. However, we must acknowledge the meaning of identity, which is commonly attached to the notion of occupation. Once we have accepted this reality, we see that our confusion is not gestalt, but per se derives from the vagueness inherent of all reputations of thought. By which he means to say that he is a student. A junior at Ivy University, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. In the Department of Science and Engineering. Filled with curiosity for all things, I spend my days in pursuit of truth, honing my... Herr Stickler, please direct your curiosity to the case at hand today. Very well, Mr. Stickler. Please testify to the court about what you saw on the night of the crime. You ask quite simplistically what I saw. However, we must understand that the Homo sapiens possess two eyes. It's designed to receive and interpret data, sending images of the form of signals that... From the start. That night, I passed through the park on my way home from shopping, when I saw them. One man pulling a stand, another man facing him. I saw them quite clearly. The man facing the victim was the defendant. In his hand he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointed at the man pulling the stand. A shot! The bullet hit the man pulling the stand from the front, square in the forehead. Was there anyone else in the park at that time? I can say with 100% accuracy that there was not. The pistol our witness refers to is this. Or accept this in evidence. Okay. Very well, Mr. Justice, you may cross-examine the witness. Yes, Your Honor. Trucy, what are you staring like that at the witness? That man. I can't help but feel I've seen him somewhere before. Alright, let's get started. Also, let's take a look at that pistol, too. The night I passed through the park on my way home from the shopping, when I saw them. 2 rounds are fired, fingerprints were white. Of course. Oh, don't point that thing at me. Don't worry, I can handle myself around guns. Magic guns, at least. The ones that pigeons come out of. Very reassuring. Doesn't look like anything else is interesting about it. Huh. Okay. Keep that in mind. On the way home from shopping, you say? Why go through the park? Ah, the fascinating inquiry. Revealing me capable of sufficiently verbose. Let us consider the time saved by passing through the park on the way home from the store. At that time, I'm incapable of solving 2 GMAT problem sets. On average, it requires me 3 minutes, 24 seconds to complete one such. There you go. The time to complete is 2 on average, 6 minutes, 48 seconds. However, in the case of the questions are in the verbal category, admittedly numb. That's enough. Enough. I get the idea. Yep. Justice, the court hopes to finish cross-examination sometime this month. Please, I have a recording booked after this trial. And I got a show to perform. Gee, I'm sorry you're all so busy. One man pulling a stand, another man facing him. Were these men talking by any chance? Ah, now that you mention it, they were, though I cannot claim I heard them clearly. Only fragments, such as "you lied to me." Oh, and "I'm gonna give you a taste of your own medicine, pal." It's just as our defendant claims. I believe you wish to teach the victim what it felt like to take a bullet to the heart. If that's true, then this is a vital piece of testimony. No, sounds like you heard them clearly enough to me. Hold it. Huh? Might I be allowed to amend my testimony? What now? To be precise, he did not say pal, but man. Yes, that was the way of it. I swear it on my diploma. What's the difference? And this other man, who was he? I saw them quite clearly. The man facing the victim was the defendant. How can you be so sure it was the defendant? The crime took place at night. It would have been too dark. Perhaps I was remiss in not mentioning this earlier. Huh? You see, in class, I always sit at the very backmost seat. Do you know why? Who cares? Because I do not wish anyone to copy my perfect notes. And this relates to your testimony, how? I mention this to illustrate my predisposition that which is perfect. It was dark, you say, yet there are lights in the park. If I say the defendant was in the park that night, then he was in the park that night. It was a hard, immutable fact. He sure is confident. He seems to be telling the truth, too. In his hand he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointing at the man pulling the stand. Are you sure the pistol you saw is the same as the one you submitted as evidence? Am I sure? Surely you jest. Or so a common witness would be tempted to say. Huh? Yet I am no common witness. I see not only events as they are, but the logical structure governing these events. First, we must consider the fact that it was at night at the park, which indeed restricted my field of vision due to the insufficient levels of illumination. Now, if we consider that the pistol, or is called Object A, was shrouded in darkness, it becomes difficult to say what certainly was Object A was indeed Object A. What do you mean he couldn't see it that clearly? My badge for a normal witness. Just once. Yet the fact that the pistol was fired before my eyes is indisputable. I can still see it when I close my eyes, the defendant raising his weapon. A shot! The bullet hit the man pulling the stand for the front, square in the forehead. Are you absolutely certain only one shot was fired? Yes, of course it was only one shot. Why do you ask? Contradiction. Finally! Mr. Stigler, according to the court record, the pistol was fired twice. A clear contradiction! Good eyes, Herr Justice. Real cool, real cool. Huh? You really think so? Yet there is no reason why the other shot had to be fired that night. Meaning, This pistol came from the Kentucky family mansion, yeah? I think it's not unreasonable to assume the pistol had been fired once before that night. During, perhaps, another altercation. He's got a point. Judging from his smug expression, I'd say Prosecutor Cavan had his answer ready before he even spotted the problem. He seemed pretty confident in his testimony. He always makes the biggest mistakes when they're most confident. You got a weak point somewhere, Apollo. Find it. Right. Better give that testimony another listen. Alright. He's extremely confident. In his hand was a pistol pointed at the man pulling the stand. But we need to also check the autopsy. A single bullet to the right temple, which is not straight on the forehead. But he also had a shiv in front of him. There's two things I could point out, but let me just try this one first. That's all of it. I think I have a chance. Is that you relaxing, I see, Your Justice? Objection! Once is quite enough, Mr. Justice! Apollo, pace yourself. This trial's not over yet. Right. Look at this. The autopsy report? Is there a problem with the autopsy report? Right, a problem. Problem. Yes! The problem is the location of the entry wound. The location? You testified that the killer shot the victim square in the forehead, did you not? I have already determined your angle of inquiry. Allow me to explain. It is quite simple, really. First, understand that when I say square, I speak not geometrically absolute. What I do mean by this? For example, the deflection of a meter is 1,000 times the wavelength of the krypton particle, as we know. In addition, it is a well-known fact that the krypton particles are rare and invisible to the naked eye, which points to the basic fallacy of your line of reasoning, namely that... Mr. Justice! Yes? Was your objection to these, krypton particle things? This is the big time, and you're obsessed with something so small. You disappoint me. No! I'm obsessed with something big! I mean, there's a bigger, less nitpicky problem here. Do tell. Just look at the autopsy report. The location of the entry wound was the right temple! Temple? Mr. Stickler, you said quite clearly the victim was shot square in the forehead. This is a contradiction, isn't it? It is, right? Finally. Objection! Yeah, Justice. Oh, yeah, Justice. Yes? Your tactics are outdated, trying to shake the witness by objecting with trifles. Surely you haven't forgotten the fatal wound your master suffered 7 years ago? Phoenix Wright, was it? Look, I know the wound was in the wrong place according to the testimony. Hey, forehead. Forehead? Let us imagine you're walking through the park. You see two men facing each other, one with a pistol trained on the other. What would you do, Air Forehead? Well, I guess I would try to stop them. I'd probably shout, stop. And you, Fraulein? Me? Well, I'd probably scream. Hey! Ah! And you, Herr Stickler? What did you shout, I wonder? Oh! The victim turned his head at the last moment. Yes. Thank you for jogging my memory. Sounds like an addendum to the testimonies required. As soon as the killer raised his pistol, I took action. Cease this at once, you two! I cried, with composure. The victim turned in the direction of my voice, and a shot rang out. Whereupon our cowardly killer, the defendant, appeared to have become frightened. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. I see. You attempted to stop the crime. Indeed, with composure. Well, maybe the criminal wouldn't have fired if he hadn't shouted like that. That doesn't really matter now, unfortunately. Let us consider this new testimony, shall we? Observe the diagram, if you would. The witness, Mr. Stickler, was it, stood here. He shouted, "Oh, stop, please," or something of this nature. And the victim responded by looking at the witness's direction. If the killer were to have fired at just that moment, as we could see, the bullet would have struck the right temple, as in the report. That does seem to be the case. Witness the power of a junior in Ivy University's Department of Science. Very well, Mr. Justice. You may cross-examine the witness. Then indeed I will. As soon as the killer raised his pistol, I took action. So you saw a raised pistol. Weren't you frightened? It can be said we students of Ivy University know no fear. The moment I saw that pistol, my inner sense of justice compelled me to take action. Certainly brave of you. You might have gotten shot. Huh? You certainly were lucky. If I were in the killer's shoes, I certainly wouldn't have left a witness behind. He actually looks like he had no idea he was in danger. Regardless, I attempted to halt the bloodshed. Cease this at once, you two, I cried with composure. Are you sure both men were able to hear your voice? They were, of course. My high, exquisite voice echoed through the park. And the victim responded to their clarion call. Quite. The victim turned in the direction of my voice, and a shot rang out. Did you hear the gunshot at the same time as the victim turned? Indeed. I would say about the same time, to be precise. And the victim didn't ask you for help? It can be said that he didn't have time to ask. He didn't even have time to take a single step. I'm totally sure the killer fired because Mr. Stickler startled him. Don't say that out too loud, Druzy, please. Whereupon a cowardly killer, the defendant appeared to have become frightened. Can you describe the killer's actions more clearly? He seemed quite surprised, especially considering that he was he who did the deed. As we could see, human psychology is a tangled web, indeed. He simply couldn't believe what he had done. He shot, he panicked. A common tale, but true. Unfortunately, before I could take further action, tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. The pistol? You didn't try to apprehend the criminal? Oh, it all happened so fast. I'm afraid I hadn't the time. Doesn't something about that strike you as odd, Apollo? What? The killer was in a hurry, right? He fired the pistol, tossed it right away. According to the testimony, that's what happened, yeah. In that case, I'd expect to find something that we didn't find. Find something? Find what? I like the contradiction. Kinda sad to see it go. Not as sad as I feel. What do we do now? At least the testimony is getting a lot clearer. She's right. Maybe I can find something to use this new testimony. There is actually something. I'm glad I checked out the pistol. So he was frightened and he tossed it away in a hurry. But if you look, the knife has fingerprints, the shiv. The pistol does not. Objection! Wait a second. Another misleading request. Yet you're so beholden to your own mode of discourse you cannot see how it affects you. Come again? Wait a second, you say. A second? Are we intended to wait just that? A single second, 1/60th of a minute? That hardly enough time to draw a breath, let alone to make a statement in court. Now, had you asked for a longer period of time, say 3 minutes, 30... Justice! Yes, Your Honor. Am I to understand you're objecting to the length of a second? But yes! I mean, no! Here, just look at the pistol. It doesn't have a single fingerprint on it! Ah, a common ploy made all the more common, I fear, by the prevalence of television. Criminals these days are loath to leave fingerprints. Wait, you just said the killer tossed the gun and ran. That's right. He didn't have time to wipe the gun for prints. Haha, the little girl is sticking it in the university student. Oh, there's a song in there. I'm not little. Then let's think like adults, shall we, Fraulein? Huh? What if the killer, the defendant, was wearing gloves? I gotta admit, I didn't think that, Apollo. Mr. Justice? Could the killer have been wearing gloves? No. The record of the murder weapon is very clear about one thing. The fingerprints were wiped, which means some trace of prints remained. What contradicts your testimony. If everything happened as you said it did, he wouldn't have had time to wipe the pistol. That may be, but it does not change what I saw. The killer, the defendant, they threw down the murderous weapon from his hand and fled. And the pistol was found at the scene of the crime, strongly suggesting that this was the weapon he disposed of. That sounds solid to me. Well, F. Forehead, any of your precious objections? What gives, Apollo? Let's just see the voice training and go to work. You know, I've only recently realized something. No matter how much you train your voice, it doesn't matter if you have nothing to say. What do you mean, nothing to say? Isn't it obvious from what the witness just said? Isn't what obvious? When he restated what he saw just now, he just said he saw Wocky drop the murderous weapon. But that's not the same as being 100% sure of what Wocky threw away. You're right. He's just confused because he saw a pistol was found at the scene. Poor Mr. Stickler. It must be hard being so perfect and yet so wrong. Well, it can be said that I'm quite offended. While it is indeed true that once in my youth I wrote a love letter to the seeds of gestures in the blackboard, the poor the prefix domain and issue it. What we can say for certain is that the witness saw the killer throw something. Does the defense have anything to say about this? Well, if what he threw wasn't a pistol, then it had to be found something else. At least one person on the defense team seems to be thinking. I want that smoke off your pretty face, Gavin. Perhaps you can inform the court as the nature of this something else? What did the killer throw away before fleeing the scene? The knife. Is that a sword? I saw one of those on the late night movie last night. Great, a sleep-deprived judge. This knife was found at the scene of the crime, with the defendant's fingerprints on it. His prints! This single piece of evidence proves two important things. One, that what the defendant threw down wasn't a pistol. Two, that the defendant wasn't wearing gloves. Indeed. Oh, my forehead. You're forgetting two other things you've just proven. One, that the man the witness saw was the defendant, Mr. Wocky. Two, that the defendant was holding a knife with the intent of harming a victim. Oh! Indeed. Never underestimated. Gavin is a lesson here. This court is the opinion that our witness is fond of making assumptions. In that light, I believe it would behoove us to really hear about what really occurred. With less assuming, please. It is always the same with you people. Mark left the house on foot, and 5 minutes later his brother left after him. How long would it take for Mark's brother to catch up to him, assuming that Mark never had to stop for traffic light? Assuming. Yes, that's what I said. Assuming. As if that were a probable situation at all. But did you hear our assuming that my assumption is no better? What the court assumes is that the witness will testify as what happened after the shot was fired. I could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene. Nor could I simply leave the scene in good conscience. Ergo, I used my cell phone to call the police. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. Why didn't you chase the killer? He was, as you say, a killer. Of course, I could have run him down, yet what would he have done when cornered? Sadly, it takes more than the aptitude to solve quadratic equations to know that. Did the testimony earlier not prove the defendant's presence at the scene? And do we not also know now that there was no one else there? It seems clear that we have our killer. Does it not? Does it not, Mr. Justice? I better find a way to take this testimony down quick. Or prove that it does not. I could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene. Which way did the killer run? By that time, it was clear the killer had noticed me. Naturally, he ran in the opposite direction. That means he ran in the opposite direction from the Kitaki mansion. Action! Don't even think about pointing that out, that he was going away from his home. All he had to do was loop back around out of sight. Ah! How did he know that's where I was going? Nor can I simply leave the scene in good conscience. You were certainly composed for someone who just witnessed a killing. If one is to devote one's life to the pursuit of science, one must never flinch at the sight of a little blood. Nor be so moved by a chemical discovery that one drops one's flask upon the lab room floor. Oh, cool answer. Very cool. Huh. So nothing strange about how he acted. Trucy looks like she's having something to say. Ergo, use my cell phone to call the police. Wasn't your first thought to call an ambulance? It can be said that I have dabbled in medicine. The injury I witnessed, namely a single shot to the head, tends to result in death. Ergo, there was no need for me to call an ambulance. Oh, a perfect syllogism. A proof in 3 parts. Exquisite. Simply exquisite. He actually looks like he's going to cry. She looks like she's gonna punch me. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. Can you tell us in detail about these 10 minutes? I stood in a state of heightened awareness. Anything could happen at any moment. Anyone could appear from any direction. Is that all? No one came. Nothing happened at all. I saw it all, which is to say, I saw nothing. It was late at night. It's not odd to think there would be a few people out around the park. We just stood there watching? Not much to go on there. Trucy, if you got something to say, by all means, just say it. I can't find a single problem with this testimony. Had enough at last, that forehead. Maybe it's time to back off a bit? Dang it. It's nothing! Did we even find anything at the park? There's the Newell stand, we found these. But that's all we found at the park. The car, dang it. There's nothing fishy about the testimony at all. It appears there is no objection to the witness's current testimony. There are any number of ways to explain the lack of prints on the pistol, I assure you. Perhaps the killer really was wearing gloves which wiped the previous user's prints off. Then after the deed was done, this fell out of his pocket as he was throwing the gun away. A mistake befitting of a small-time punk, in my opinion. No! No! It seems we've come to the end of the line here. That can't be all! Unfortunate. It seems that you weren't cut out to stand on the same stage as me. Where are you? Yeah, forehead. I believe this brings the cross-examination to a close. Court will now declare the verdict for the defendant, Wocky Kitaki. No! What? Trucy?
Let me move.
What's the meaning of this? Who are you?
There'll be no verdict in this court. Not yet.
Wait, are you one of the Kitakis? The Kitaki? You mean the notorious gangsters?
You don't want to see me give a pretty little girl your smile? Do what I say. Adjourn the court for 20 minutes.
What? This court will not bow to the pressure of the likes of... Yeah, Judge? I see little point in further aggravating this gentleman.
Recess. 20 minutes. I promise you, you'll regret it.
Well, wait! Where did he disappear so fast? Come to the defendant lobby, Apollo. I suppose I have no choice but to adjourn for a 20-minute recess. Bailiff, catch the mysterious man! Oh goodness, that all happened so fast. Well, it looks like we'll have no choice. But follow Trixie? That was weird. Ace Attorney Apollo Justice. See you next time.